Live from New York, this is the Harvey Hour. My name is Nathan Harvey. It is great to have you in on a Friday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. How are you doing today on this Friday?
Always happy on a Friday, Nate.
It's going to be a good show. We got a lot to talk about, episodes 7 and 8 of the Patriots Dynasty documentary. Honestly, it isn't even about the Patriots. It's more so just about Brady, Belichick, Robert Kraft, and everything that went down. So to call it the Patriots Dynasty, I don't know if that's exactly accurate. I think now that, you know, the focus is really coming into play, I think it should be Brady versus Belichick, something along the lines of that being the title instead of just strictly the Dynasty, because it really mentions nothing about each individual season. So, like, for instance, they skipped over the back-to-back seasons. They just highlighted the Super Bowl wins. That was it.
Yeah.
So to call it the Dynasty,
they don't talk too much about any other player besides Brady either. It's just
Brady,
him.
Exactly. Brady versus. I think that should have been the better title.
Yeah.
Or
it's
something.
Brady. It's the triumphant Brady, Kraft, Belichick. That's Kraft talks a lot on the show too.
Yeah. So I think that's a very big. We got a lot to talk about. Let's start with this first topic. Let's get right into it. So Adam Schefter reported today a shocking revelation that the New York Giants have begun an exploratory meeting with Russell Wilson before he's actually going over to Pittsburgh, which he met with the team earlier today. So this is quite interesting. We know Daniel Jones signed a 4-year, $160 million contract, $82 million guaranteed. Just the prior season, now he's entering year 2 of that contract. They are stuck with him unless they want a severe cap penalty for at least this season. But with Russell Wilson potentially signing a veteran minimum, I think a lot of teams are going to be interested in signing a former Super Bowl winning quarterback. The Denver Broncos announced recently that they plan on releasing him at the beginning of the league new year, which is actually in 5 days from now. So I want to know if it has to be up to, and by the way, the Raiders also might be involved, but the confirmed teams so far are just the Giants and just the Pittsburgh Steelers. So we could start with those two teams. We could branch out. I want to know, where do you think Russ would fit best in his next adventure to be a quarterback for another team?
I think the Giants might be a good fit, actually, for him. They don't seem to want to have anything to do with Daniel Jones from everything we've been hearing, right? And the style of play that Russell Wilson plays, maybe a little similar to Tyrod Taylor, who played pretty well for the Giants last year. So I think that maybe the Giants would be a decent fit. I don't think the Steelers are a very good fit, personally. I think that they claim that they're all in on Kenny Pickett, that they have they have support for him. They want to bring back Mason Rudolph in the free agent deal. I think that meeting with Russell Wilson is more a ploy to get Rudolph to come in and sign quickly. I'm not sure it has that much to do with them wanting to sign him. I mean, he's getting older, 35 years old, and he wouldn't be a long-term fit for the Steelers, and that seems to be what they want to do. So they have a pretty reasonably young team on offense. So I was interested to see him go there, and I don't think I'd be surprised if they wind up signing him.
For me, the Giants are a complete mistake. So what we saw with Russell Wilson in the first season was a lot of injuries, bad offensive line. Defense was not that bad, but overall, the Broncos weren't where they needed to be. And besides, you also had terrible coaching with Nat Hackett as your head coach, who ended up getting fired before the year even ended. The Giants, I'm looking at their rankings right now. They were dead last in receiver rating, running back rating, rated 31st, pass block rating, dead last, run block rating, 30th, passing grades, 20th. So the team in general, at least offensively, is garbage. I don't know why Russell Wilson would want to sign with a horrible team that has no offensive line. Their best player on offense is currently off the team. You don't have an offensive line. Like I said, the best offensive lineman you have is a left tackle and needed 3 years to develop. You really have no great receiver. That was a major problem with them. You got a very fast receiver in Hyatt. Darren Waller's contemplating retirement, so you may lose your best tight end as well. A lot of the pieces that you still need are on the offense. Better offensive line, better quarterback, a running back, and a receiver. Outside of that, the Giants have literally their defense is okay.
My
But offensively, they're garbage.
My comments were more from the perspective of the team, not the player. I was saying which team would want him. I would think the Giants would want Russell Wilson.
A lot of teams would want him, though.
I would think that because he's going to come cheap. You're going to get him for the veteran minimum.
$1.21 million.
Yeah, because he's not going to make more than $37 million next year. And the veteran, whatever the other team gives him is just a subtraction off of what the Broncos owe him. So he's not going to get more. So I think that it's going to be the veteran minimum that he's going to be picked up for. So a lot of teams, I agree, a lot of teams will be looking at him. But I don't think that, and I think from the team's perspective, he'd be a good fit for the Giants. They don't like Daniel Jones. They don't really have. They want to have a veteran. Tommy DeVito is the backup right now. That's not going to be enough for them. They need somebody that's got some gravitas, and I think they would be looking hard at Russell Wilson. The only thing I'd say on that, though, they met him in the airport. You know, he was just flying through, it seemed like, and they ran out there to say hi to him. If he was really serious, I would have thought he'd stayed over in New York, gone out to the offices there and met with everybody. So I thought that was a little weird. They met in the airport.
Well, I mean, it's an exploratory mean to see if there's any interest, because I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, when Russ was about to get traded from the Seattle Seahawks to the Denver Broncos, one of the teams that he actually wanted to play for was the New York Giants. So the interest used to be there. Now I agree with you. I think a lot of teams, including the Giants, as we've seen from this exploratory meeting, they would be interested in a quarterback that showed growth. Let's put up the numbers again. I put this up last time. The numbers from year one with Denver and a horrible head coach to year two with Sean Payton, it's more efficient. I'm not going to say it's better because yards per game was down. Like I said, he had one of the worst average depths to target, one of the worst deep throw percentages. He was playing it safer, but it was more efficient, and you also won nearly double your games. So I think a lot of teams would be interested. If I'm Russell Wilson and I had to choose between Brian Daboll and a really unstable franchise with a bad GM that holds on to players and pays the wrong players, and an ownership that I don't exactly trust, versus a Hall of Fame coach, a head coach that's never had a losing season, better weapons, or should I just say weapons in general, 2 running backs compared to 0, and an offensive line that could be better, and a defense that also needs slight improvement. The Steelers, if I'm Russ, and I'm looking at it through the perspective of Russell Wilson, if the Steelers want me, I'm going there. Don't really care about, anything else. The only, and I've mentioned this a couple times before, but the only team that I would seriously consider Russ moving off of, if he's focused on the Steelers, the only other team that I would say, if I'm Russ, that I would look towards, and I've said this before, is the Atlanta Falcons. Because instead of going to the Steelers, well, you need to play Joe Burrow, the Browns defense twice, and the Ravens twice. You get to go to the NFC South, where you play Baker Mayfield, you play Bryce Young, and by the way, Carolina's defense is going to get worse. The Bucs defense, I believe they had the worst passing defense in the NFL last season. And then you also have to go up against the Saints, which were massively underwhelming. And you're going to tell me that that's a better choice and that gives you a better chance at making the playoffs? I'm going to say the Falcons probably have a better shot at that just because of the division. So a lot of teams are, I'm sure, going to be interested. I wouldn't go to the Raiders. You got to play the Chargers with Jim Harbaugh. You got to go up against your former team, the Denver Broncos. And then you also have to go up against Patrick Mahomes, who's trying to three-peat. It's not going to be pretty. Also with an offensive line that isn't great.
Yeah. Okay. From a player's perspective, I think you make some very good arguments. I think the Falcons would be a good choice, and the Falcons could get him cheap, right? Yeah. And they have what look like some pretty good weapons on offense. So, and you mentioned the easier schedule, the easier division there. So, yeah, maybe. I think though, how do you feel about the difference between Justin Fields and Russell Wilson? If you pick in between those two, because I think the Falcons will be looking at Justin Fields too. And they're looking at Kirk Cousins too. That seems to be the player they really want. Kirk Cousins right now
is their favorite. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Kirk Cousins is the guy who's their favorite because he's an established quarterback who had success. And then Justin Fields is the flip side of that. Mac Jones in his rookie year, and I'm going to talk about this later. Mac Jones in his rookie year threw him for had the same amount of wins as Justin Fields has had in 3 years. So he doesn't win games. I've talked about this before. As the game goes on, passer rating plummets. When he's leading in the fourth quarter, passer rating is 60.
That.
Right, exactly. So if I'm the Falcons, what fits my offense better? I have a good running back already. Offensive line is pretty good. We have a Drake London who's a pretty good receiver. We have Kyle Pitts, who really, for the place he was drafted, is extremely underwhelming. Would Russ fit my offense better than Justin Fields? I'm looking for a distributor. I'm going to let my playmakers make plays. Desmond Ridder couldn't do that. Taylor Heineke had trouble doing that. That's why they're looking at another quarterback. And then you also have to do an extra step of, do I like a rookie quarterback better? Do I like Bo Nix better? Do I like J.J. McCarthy better? If those quarterbacks are there. Do I like Michael Penix better? That's the several layers to this. If Russell Wilson, if you're thinking about him long term, so you sign him for the veteran minimum this year, and then you could pay him whatever in the following 2-3 seasons, however long you want to sign him for, is he what you're looking for? Because you're going to have to pay Justin Fields, if you want his fifth-year options, about $25 million. If you're willing to sit with Fields for 2 years, if you accept his fifth-year option and move with him, will he bring you the success you're looking for? My answer would be no.
Yeah.
I don't think so. He's inaccurate.
Mm-hmm.
Stays way too long in the pocket. He's way too slow in his reads. And I keep talking about this.
Do the Broncos owe Russell Wilson money next year? No, in the following year too?
Was it a $54 million cap, I want to say? I think I have the numbers in front of me. It's $49.6 million in 2025.
They owe him.
Right.
So you can...
Well, that's the cap. I don't know about the exact cash breakdown. I don't have the contract in front of me.
So you can have Russell Wilson for 2 years for basically nothing.
Well, I mean, you would sign him for a 1 year, and that's the thing. You can and probably sign him for a 1 year, like a veteran minimum. You sign
him for 2 years for the veteran minimum. It's nothing.
Well, what I would say is, if you really want him,
$2.5 million,
give him $25 million for 2 years.
$3 million for 2 years. You could sign him for $2.4 million, $2.5 million.
Well, that's the thing. I think if another team offers him a security, he's going to take that over the amount of money because he's already getting the money, which is something that the Broncos are going to have to deal with. So
it's amazing.
I think if a team signs him for more money than the veteran minimum, he's going to go to whatever team that is because he's going to be making money, although he doesn't need to. But I think a desperate team would pay him the money. If for instance,
I thought that in the second year, wouldn't the same formula apply? Whatever the Broncos are paying him minus
what he gets from another. It'd be plus.
No, it's minus.
Why would it be minus? He's making money from the Broncos.
But the Broncos, what they have to pay him is the $37 million minus whatever he gets on some other team.
Why would it be minus if he's just getting more money from a different team?
No, that's the formula. The most he can make next year is $37 million. The Broncos payment. And if another team signs him, the Broncos have the right to subtract whatever the other team pays him. So it's going to be $1.2 million. It doesn't matter to him.
So then the Broncos aren't paying him $37 million. They're paying him 36 point whatever.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So no team's going to give him more than 1.2 because he's not going to make more than whatever the Broncos' total obligation to him is. So I'd sign him for 2 years. And then if you don't like him, you could trade him. You could trade him at the end of the first year for a 7th round draft pick if you want. You get something for him.
He's worth more than a 7th round pick, in my opinion.
Depends on how he plays. You wouldn't want him but second year if he was terrible.
Well, I think that's probably, and that's the argument. Is Russ washed? And that's where the argument comes in.
But you're not paying too much to find out.
That's
right?
true.
Yeah.
It's a low risk, high reward potential outcome.
I would think the Giants would try pretty hard to get him.
If I'm Russ, I don't go to him.
He probably won't.
It's setting myself up for failure.
Yeah.
They don't have no offensive line, no running game, no receiving game.
Uh-huh. So this has been out there how many days that he's going to be a free agent, that he was released?
5 days.
5 days.
The new league year opens March 13th.
Okay. So the Falcons have been talking about Kirk Cousins knowing that Russell Wilson was going to be released.
Well, it came out recently. Signs are pointing that way, but it wasn't official until a couple days ago.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get into our next topic here. So this is fascinating. Let's talk some Patriots news. So the offseason plans for the Patriots, which we've heard about for a while now, about at the end of January, we first heard about some of the rumors. They're finally falling into place. They signed Hunter Henry to a 3-year deal worth up to $30 million. They put Kyle Duggar on the transition tag. And also, head of personnel Eliot Wolf is saying that they want that he and the team wants to stockpile draft picks for this year's upcoming draft. What's also fascinating, it was MassLive.com mentioned it, and Ian Rappaport kind of confirmed it. They're now fielding calls for Mac Jones. It's official now. It is officially official, according to Ian Rappaport. They are now open to trading Mac Jones, and they're openly shopping him, taking calls and seeing what they'll get. And apparently, some teams have already provided interest in wanting Mac Jones. So it looks like the Mac Jones tenure will be over, which we're going to talk about it right now. But do you think that this would be a smart move for the Patriots to, instead of drafting, rather accumulating picks by trading away maybe players on the team or other draft picks? Is this a smart move by the Patriots?
Well, I guess if they think they're in a rebuilding year, maybe. But I think that there's some good quarterbacks in the draft, and there may be a franchise quarterback or two in the draft. So you don't want to miss out on that, because if you have the chance to take Caleb Williams or Drake May or Jalen Daniels, which you will have the chance to take one of those three because they have the third pick. So if you think one of those three guys all have a good chance of being a franchise quarterback, and they indeed turn out to be that, and you trade down for some players that don't wind up being so good, then you're going to be in trouble with the fans big time.
Well, it's not also about trading for players. It's also about trading picks. They would trade the third pick down for maybe a couple second rounds and a fifth round. So it has nothing to do with players. It's more about the new talent.
Yeah, well, the lower you go in the draft, the talent picking up a Tom Brady becomes not so likely.
Well, and that's what's interesting about this. If they trade down, my guess is they're not going for a quarterback. Then what's your answer? Because Baker Mayfield, he's still out there. Russell Wilson's out there, but there's literally no interest in that. And also the Baker interest, there is basically no interest. Mike Evans, apparently the Patriots were inquiring about Mike Evans, and he turned it down basically instantly. So the interest from veterans out there to sign with and also the Patriots apparently have no interest in Kirk Cousins whatsoever. So what's their plan? If they're going to try to get like a fifth-round pick, like very, very low fourth or high fifth-round pick for Mac Jones, what's their plan? Is Bailey Zappi the answer here? Are they going to try to trade for a backup quarterback? Apparently Trey Lance is in demand to be a trade candidate. I don't understand what the Patriots' plan is. If you're stockpiling picks, and according to Dane Brugler, who came out with this report, they are trading the 3rd overall pick for the Falcons' 8th overall pick and the 43rd pick. So at the 8th pick, let's say the Giants draft a quarterback, you're looking at, and let's say just for all intents and purposes, they draft J.J. McCarthy, then you have Bo Nix or Michael Penix to choose from. And that's if the Falcons go out and get one of the top 3 quarterbacks, and the Commanders get one of the top 3 quarterbacks, and then obviously the Bears would get Caleb Williams.
But wouldn't the Patriots would have 2 first-round picks next year? Because I thought that the Falcons' deal would be a first-round pick next year too.
According
that's what I read.
Yes, 2025 first-round pick. So, but then who would you get? Quinn Ewers next year? Are you just saying, are you scrapping this year from the get-go and say, you know what, this is a rebuilding year, we're just accumulating picks now? If that's the case,
you got to have a quarterback. I mean,
exactly.
You got to have a quarterback. You'd hope you'd do better than what was out there playing last year in terms of production.
And what I could say is keep Mac Jones for this year, because you may yield the same result as if you didn't have him and you're stuck with what you already got. If Bailey Zappi's your answer, you may go 6-11 already. Oh, 6-11 already.
Wasn't there a kind of the players kind of turned on Mac Jones, right?
Matt Judon says he ain't broken. Yeah. He said he needed to be comfortable. Brian Hoyer talked about how Mac Jones would still be a good quarterback. I forget who, I think it was Jordan Palmer of NFL Network said if the 49ers drafted Mac Jones, he would win multiple Super Bowls by now. I don't fully agree with that. Maybe one, just based on the talent and what we saw Mac's rookie year. But I don't love the fact that, there's this now report that Mac Jones is getting openly traded for the Patriots case. Because I think this is a situation where if Mac Jones goes to the right situation with a legitimate offensive coach, I'm not saying he'll go out and win Super Bowls, but he will have success. Because that's what the Patriots failed to do around him is build around him for his strength. We saw scraps, and by the way, for the fourth consecutive year, their number one wide receiver was dead last in separation.
Apparently, Alex Van Pelt doesn't like Mac Jones. Huh?
Where'd you hear that from?
Well, if they're putting him out there for trade bait, then they must have evaluated him enough now so they feel like they'd be better off without him.
So your answer is what? Hope that you get a good quarterback early in the first round? That's what you have to pray for. And by the way, Mac Jones he's going to get a fourth-round pick anyway, so you're hoping to get off that third overall pick, which then you're shooting yourself in the foot because you're losing a top 3 quarterback.
That's true. I think that's right.
There is no linear pathway. The best move they've made so far is signing Hunter Henry. That is the best move they've made. If you're telling me that this Patriots team is going to go out and trade the third overall pick to accumulate more picks, they're going to trade Mac Jones, that means Bailey Zappi and Nathan Rourke are on your roster moving forward. And you're just praying that you use that fourth-round pick to either trade for a quarterback or you sign a Baker Mayfield who probably has no interest in you, a Kirk Cousins, which you yourself haven't shown interest in signing, or Russell Wilson decides, you know what, let me just go to New England anyway. Outside of that, you got like Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill is horrible. He got replaced by
Jimmy G probably will be out there too. The Raiders are going to get off him.
No, they will, but Jimmy G is not a good quarterback.
And plus, he's going to be a release, so he'll be able to be there for the veteran minimum too.
I don't think it's smart for the Patriots to sign Jimmy Garoppolo because what offensive scheme would Jimmy G be running? It's not it's Kyle Shanahan. He worked really well with that system.
What does Alex Van Pelt run? I don't know.
He worked with Kevin Stefanski over in Cleveland. So, and he didn't do a terrible job.
Is that a West Coast offense?
But there's a reason why Stefanski got off of him. We have to think about that. So, clearly it didn't work out, or they just found better. So I don't understand fully, or rather, I disagree with this situation of let's trade back, let's accumulate picks. You have an opportunity if you keep Mac Jones to go draft the best wide receiver in this draft class. Or if you trade Mac Jones away, keep the third overall pick, you get to draft the top 3 quarterback in this draft. Outside of that, you're banking on other receivers that need development or are trying to rebuild their careers again, Russell Wilson, Baker Mayfield. Or you're going to maybe overpay for a quarterback that is not as good as what you could draft for. Kirk Cousins. I don't like this whatsoever. I could understand why maybe if you had like a quarterback in place, an offensive line, but you needed a receiver, you needed a tight end, you needed a better cornerback. I can understand you and that's what Belichick did. This is a Belichickian ideology.
I know, it's weird.
Just trade back and trade back, trade back. But that's because they had Tom Brady in place. They had Julian Edelman. They had Gronk. They had a pretty effective running game generally. Their defense, the defensive line needed a couple pieces. The linebacker position, you could draft, 1 or 2 pieces besides Dante Hightower. But the team was basically solid every single year. This offense needs to be essentially rebuilt entirely. All you really have is Demario Douglas and Hunter Henry and Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah.
Those are your 3 offensive pieces that I'm like, okay. Now you get Kendrick Bourne back in the building. You might want to go out and get Mike Gesicki again. We're building something here. The quarterback position, though, is still a massive question mark.
Sounds like it's Bailey Zappi right now. They're going to trade Mac Jones.
Until it happens, Mac Jones, Marvin Harrison, 3 plays, touchdown, 75 yards. Week 1. Whoever they play against. Week 1. 3 plays, 75 yards, touchdown, Marvin Harrison. Yeah. Manifesting it right now.
Well, the Patriots have a lot of cap space, too. They
have the most cap space in the NFL.
So they can go get veterans if they want.
There's really this free agency class is not even that good.
Yeah,
We're talking about tier 2 players, tier 2 quarterbacks at the very best, and I think Kirk Cousins is the only tier 2 quarterback. You might want to put Russell Wilson in there.
How about offensive linemen? Is there anybody there?
Michael Wenu is probably one of your best shots, and he's definitely a top one there. But outside of that, it's not great whatsoever, and that's kind of the poor situation the Patriots fall into right now is the fact that there's not really much out there that could be a complete difference maker when it comes to, going from what you were to what you could become. So it's an unfortunate situation that the Patriots are in right now. But maybe they could bolster their defense. We have a lot of safety releases, like top-tier safety releases.
Yeah, how about the Bills, right? The Bills let go of a bunch of their
Micah Hyde,
players.
Trey White. That's crazy, but they're still under the cap. Or over the cap, I guess I should say. Oh. So they still need to release a couple pieces.
I'm
but
surprised.
Micah
Hyde. It's a name, right?
Yeah. You also have
Von Miller restructured his contract.
He had to, yeah. There's Jamal Adams got released. Kevin Byard got released. There's Xavier McKinney didn't get tagged. Yeah, I know Patriot. Daron Harmon is still out there. If you want to resurrect his career at 33 years old. C.J. Gardner-Johnson's out there as well. There's a lot of really good safeties out there. But you still have a couple people. You got rid of Phillips, so you might want to bring in, another safety right next to Kyle Duggar. They franchise
tag Duggar.
Right? Transition tag. So
what's that mean?
Match the offer that you get, kind of like the restricted free agency in the NBA. So there we go. Oh, we're gonna take a break, but coming up, the Celtics. What's going on with them? They fall 2 games, and also it's episodes 7 and 8. We recap what our takeaways from the Deflategate scandal, which they highlighted, coming up right after this.
Whether you're just discovering your voice or taking your show to the next level, you know what the world needs to hear. All you have to do is say it. With Spotify, set up your podcast. Your food podcast. Your mindfulness podcast. Your never thought you'd get this far podcast. And watch those sparks fly.
I put a picture of the comment.
Drop the episode anywhere people listen. And find out who they're cooking with. Where they're finding inner balance. And why they love your show. You're already a creator. Now you can create, connect, and get paid for your passion with one single free tool. Spotify for podcasters. Talk where the world listens.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey. It's great to have you in on a Friday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into our next topic. So the Celtics fell 2 games in a row. They lost to the Cavs in a heartbreaking loss, but this time it was to the Denver Nuggets in a 115-109 loss last night. Jaylen Brown had 41 points in a 41-point double-double, while Jokic once again had another triple-double, 32 points, 12 rebounds, and 11 assists. This is the second time this season that the Celtics have lost back-to-back games. The last time they did that was in early November, and they were 11-1 after a loss. Best record in the NBA after a loss, but this time they fall to the defending champions. I want to know, was this game more so a failure of the Celtics or just another display of how dominant this Denver Nuggets team can be?
Failure of the Celtics, easily. Okay, the Denver Nuggets missed 1 of 22 free throws. The Patriots missed 9 free throws. Okay, that's more.
Patriots, you mean Celtics?
Celtics. The Celtics missed. I have this shirt on. It goes right to my head. I'm sorry. The Celtics missed 9 free throws. The bench for the Nuggets outscored the Boston Celtics by 28-10. And the Nuggets had 2 buzzer beaters, one in the first quarter, one in the second quarter. The Celtics couldn't stop Jokic, right? I mean, he's a triple-double. This is the 30th time he's had a career 30-point triple-double. The play that they're running now is Jokic to Gordon for a dunk. Gordon had 7 dunks. And the Jokic to Murray pick and roll. Those 2 plays, so they've got those nailed. And Jokic getting 11 assists shows that they make those plays work regularly. Jaylen Brown scoring 41 points, missing 7 of 14 free throws. He's had a tough time shooting free throws.
Yeah.
And Jason Tatum coming up small. 39 minutes, 15 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists. It was an off night for him. And these are the teams that he has to really step up and show that he's the guy, right? The Nuggets swept the series. They won in Boston, and they won at home.
Yeah.
So I predicted this. I said the Nuggets are going to repeat. It's good. There's a fair chance they're going to be playing the Celtics in the finals. I'm not sure I could see the Celtics beating them.
I'm going to agree with you. This shows just how, I would say, volatile the Celtics could be against the good teams. We've seen them crush teams. They've had they had 3 50-point wins, I'm pretty sure. Like, they are dominating a lot of okay to bad teams. But against the really good ones like the Denver Nuggets, they don't match up very well. I don't know of a team that matches against Denver very well. What I do, though, think is if instead of having Porzingis, or if you kept this player, Robert Williams, you would be in a better situation against Jokic. Porzingis got crushed down low against Jokic. Jokic down low was 7 of 11 in 7 minutes against Porzingis. Dominated him offensively completely. Robert Williams, over the several years that he played against Jokic, held Jokic like 40% shooting compared to 60% that Porzingis gave up in this game. And I believe he also gave up around 60% back in the January 19th game. The Celtics, 12 turnovers to only 7 for the Nuggets. They're not forcing a lot of turnovers. You bring up the free throw shooting, 64% for the entire Celtics squad. That's not good enough. They're free throws. You're meant to hit them. The Nuggets, on the other hand, 95.5% from the line. They're making their free throws. Jaylen Brown, and this has to be said, Jaylen Brown within the last minute of the game comes up with a massive steal. Massive steal. Then kicks it out to Tatum, who kicks it back out to Brown, who kicks it to the top of the key. Back to Tatum on the corner. Wide open 3, and he misses it. We've seen now too many times. We saw it in the Cavs game, where it's up to Tatum to make the play, make the difference, and he comes up small. Now, Drew Holiday was the only reason why they actually had an opportunity to even mount maybe a comeback in this game, because he hit a couple very clutch threes late to keep the score within a 1-score game. So that's really, and by the way, yeah, he hit 2 threes late in the game, and those are the only 2 threes he made all night. They shot severely worse from the three-point line than they normally do, and that's Missoula's ideology, is 3 and deep, don't even worry about it, just keep chucking up them threes. They made 5 fewer threes while shooting 4 less than their average. They shot 28% from 3. If you want to round it up, it's 28.9. Their offense is very, very volatile, and on top of that, their defense could be spotty when it matters late.
Well, Nuggets have a pretty good defense, right? Their defense is pretty good. They did well against the Celtics last night.
Well, yeah, because they had to. I don't know if they did well, but it was just the fact that Tatum couldn't get going. Tatum was horrible in this game. Yeah. 5 of 13, 2 of 5 from 3.
Started out good.
Yeah, he was on. He was
2
3
threes.
of 3 with 2 out of 2 from the 3-point line early in the game, early in the first quarter. Then outside of that first quarter, you had that buzzer beater, which is crushing at the end of a quarter, because we've seen it several times. It's not how about you start; it's how you finish. We saw the momentum shift. We were at the game 1 of the Knicks Heat series last year. The Knicks were up by 10, but the way the Heat finished out that first half, you knew that they were mounting something there. Lo and behold, they win game 1. So it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish here. And the Celtics late, it seemed like they were about to, make some magic happen. They shrunk a 12-point deficit into 2 with an opportunity for Tatum to hit that 3, and he misses it. So, and honestly, this is the sad part about it. Because of this loss, Tatum killed any shot of him getting the MVP award. He was 5th. You could argue he might have been over Giannis after this game, and he's 5 of 13 for only 15 points. He's out of it. And then this is the sad part about it, is that if they don't win, let's say that this was a finals preview, I don't think that they could beat him in a 7-game series. I really don't. Because Al Horford doesn't get the minutes he used to. He only got 18 minutes in this game. He also can't move as laterally as you probably want him to against Jokic, who could literally make any shot. He shoots over 7'2" Porzingis and makes everything. It's very Dirk-like, except he doesn't need a fadeaway shot to do it. He just reaches over people and shoots it. He makes some of the craziest shots I've ever seen in my life. So there's no real true matchup against Jokic that works, but Robert Williams against Jokic did a pretty damn good job. Porzingis is not the defender Williams was. But I can understand.
Well, Williams is injury prone, and he's out for the whole season this year.
Right. I can understand why you move off him with the injuries. I'm just saying, their defense, there's not like, for instance, Marcus Smart, scoring-wise, he was at a deficit there. Drew Holiday could score and play tremendous defense. You could argue he's a better defender than Marcus Smart is. Derek White, I think he's becoming one of, I'm not going to say.
He looks good out there.
No, he looks great. I'm not going to say he's a premier guard, but he's definitely a very, very good guard, especially in the Celtics system.
He had 5 rebounds, 6 assists, and 7 points. His points a little low compared to what he usually scores.
Right. And also the bench, which is surprisingly underwhelming, I think.
He only scored 10 points last night.
They didn't perform well whatsoever. And I'll say this, was it Christian Braun? Yeah, Christian Braun played great. Down the stretch, he only scored 7 points, but those points were crucial. Very, very crucial. Same thing with Peyton Watson, 11 points. 11 points in 17 minutes. Making the plays that matter. Jokic, his ability to pass the ball is unlike any big that I think we've ever seen. He does it so effortlessly. His IQ, his vision on the court, his court vision is insane for a guy of his stature, of his position. He could literally do everything. Make threes, make free throws, pass the ball, rebound, steals. He could do basically everything. Now he's now pushed himself further to be the MVP favorite just because who could stop him? Who can embarrass him? Now, there was a big matchup last season. It was Embiid versus Jokic, and Embiid played well. So that kind of was like, okay, Embiid head-to-head.
Jokic is going to win the MVP.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's going to be
look how he played. The Celtics
years?
are a very good team.
Yeah.
They have the best record in the NBA, right? So they go out there, and Jokic, he owned them. He owned them. Look at his stat line. It's amazing.
Yeah. There was nothing.
And the other thing about him,
him,
he doesn't look that athletic out there.
He's not.
He doesn't look athletic at all, but he makes all his shots. He knows where everybody is on the floor. He passes extremely well. Porzingis said after the game, he taught me some tricks. Yeah, I learned some things. They said, what were they? And he wouldn't tell them.
Yeah. Like, think about this. The Nuggets dominated in the paint, 66 points to 54. When you get dominated that easily against a team that's top 5 in defense, which the Celtics are, that's bad. But it's because Jokic is just so good on every phase of the game, whether it be outside, inside, whatever you want to, whatever you want to say. Jokic could do it. Now the question is, in a 7-game series, what can the Celtics do? What adjustments can be made? I think the only thing is circumstance. If you can start making your threes, and the threes keep coming and keep coming, if Tatum, hits a very nice stride, if Porzingis doesn't go 3 of 10 from 3, that's really your only hope. Because I do not trust the Celtics whatsoever. 5 minutes left in the game. It's a very, very close game. I don't trust the Celtics in that position whatsoever. Because they've proved time and time again. Tatum comes up small most of the time. Defense, suffers greatly. We just got to look at the 2022 NBA Finals against the Golden State Warriors. They could not stop Steph Curry whatsoever. Took over the last 3 games of that series.
That's the thing. If you're going to win the NBA championship, it goes through Denver, it looks like. And if you're going to beat Denver, you got to stop Jokic. You got to slow him down some. One of his, either you got to slow him down in the assists, the rebounds, or his scoring. He's a triple-double every night, basically.
Yeah. And Amazing. That's the scary thing. That is, he could literally...
He's a point center.
Yeah.
In a way, right?
Big time.
I mean, how many point guards have 11 assists every night? Not many.
Chris Paul, he's the point, but he's the point guard, though. In today's NBA...
I'm not so sure he's that this year, right?
No.
Look at the Warriors, man. They're
pitiful.
Pitiful.
Yeah, no, they're very, very bad. Let's get into our last topic. The show's flying by right now. Let's get into our last topic of today's show. So, episodes 7 and 8 of the Patriots documentary series, The Dynasty, on Apple TV Plus, showcased the beginning of the end for the Belichick-Brady dynasty, with Belichick drafting Jimmy Garoppolo extremely high in the draft. I believe he was a second-round pick. And he spoke very highly of Jimmy G in, what was that, like a post-draft conference about why he drafted him. He was looking towards the future, which obviously Brady, winning 3 Super Bowls, definitely got hit by that hard. And then obviously the 2014 AFC Championship game against the Colts, Deflategate began. That led a 2-year witch hunt to then, the 2016 season, which episode 8 focuses on, which ended up in a Patriots Super Bowl, in the greatest Super Bowl comeback in NFL history. I want to know, what did you take away from both episodes of the Dynasty, episodes 7 and 8?
I think the thing that comes to mind to me the most is the adversity that Brady dealt with in his time with the Patriots. He really had quite a bit of adversity. The amount of negative comments that Belichick laid on him all the time in front of the teammates and stuff. It was brutal. It was brutal for Brady then. And to have Jimmy G drafted and then have to serve that suspension, and Jimmy G going in there and playing reasonably well. Jimmy G got hurt, and just before Brady came back, so that sealed it that Brady was going to be the starter when he came back, and probably would have been anyway. But I think that Brady was pissed, and rightfully so, I think. Belichick complained to Kraft about some of Brady's stats, that he's starting to fall off. And I don't think Belichick thought that Brady could play into his 40s and be effective, and he was wrong about that. I think it just pissed off Brady, and I think rightfully so. And you see this, and when they get near the end of the second installment there, or episode 8, the clash of the two egos, right?
Yeah.
Brady and Belichick. And one thing I've said about successful NFL players, you got to have supreme confidence in yourself. And that's one thing Tom Brady has, right? He has supreme confidence in himself, despite being degraded by Belichick and having him put up plays, showing everybody Brady's mistakes, and saying, a quarterback at Foxborough High School could have made a better throw than that, saying things like that. Belichick had a strategy there. They did win 6 Super Bowls, and I'm sure Brady's happy about that he's got the 6 rings with the Patriots. And they talk about Belichick and his growth as a coach. His dad was a coach at Navy, right? And there's a military element to the mindset of coaches at Navy that he got when he was with his father, which he spent tons of time with his dad out at Annapolis with the Navy team. And I think Belichick thinks of the players like like it's a military setup, and any player is expendable, and they all have to follow the same discipline. They're all treated exactly the same, but I'm not sure he treated Brady the same as he treated the others. He gave Brady a much harder time. Brady never got a football for the valuable player in a game. They never gave him one. And, you can see it's wearing on both of them when you get to the end of episode 8, and that it's wearing more on Brady.
Yeah. The shocking thing that Robert Kraft talked about was that Brady was looking for approval from Belichick in a father-son way. Belichick was never going to give it to him. That's not in Belichick's makeup. And as Kraft said, it hurt Brady because he kept looking for it. It was never coming. So he thought, let me do more. Didn't matter. Belichick was never going to give him the validation that he was looking for. What genuinely was shocking was 2 things by 2 of the Patriots receivers. Wes Welker compared Brady to an abused dog for continually going back to Belichick. A human being from a football team in a sport getting compared to an abused dog. But that was the case. Chad Ochocinco, when he was with the Patriots for that 2012 season, the first meeting that they had, it was about the previous season, and Belichick was just absolutely tearing into Brady. But that's kind of the message that Belichick wanted to send. Everybody will remain accountable. If Brady can get chewed out this harshly, you better believe he'll do the same thing to you. And then Danny Amendola said something that I don't think a lot of people fully, agree with the idea of, but it was definitely the case. And we're seeing it now post Brady on the Patriots is he said, at the end of the day, Tom was really the heart and soul of our team. We worked for Bill, but we played for Tom. They cared much more about the quarterback than they did the head coach. Because it was Brady who they believed in to get them the wins. And that was felt in the 2020 season when Brady left. I believe Devin McCourty, or I forget if it was Devin McCourty or Matthew Slater. There was a deadness that season at the very beginning when Brady wasn't there. Everybody could feel it. It's because that guy wasn't in the building anymore.
Yeah. More so on offense, I would think.
Absolutely. Because then you had to have Cam Newton, who came late, to be your starter.
Yeah. The other thing I admire about Tom Brady is that he stayed in that system, right?
Yeah.
He saw the overall value of the football team, of the team concept. And despite all of the guff he got from Belichick and the criticism and all of that, look how he performed, how well he did, and particularly in the Super Bowl against Atlanta.
Yeah.
That was the shots from that was really fantastic. I thought the Pioli went over from the Patriots over to Atlanta. Atlanta's up by 25 points. They were all celebrating up in the box, and Pioli was there. Don't do it. Look who's out there on the field. Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Right. He has not given up yet, and sure enough, he came back and won that game.
Yeah.
Amazingly. I think to me, that's the most amazing football game I ever watched. I don't think there's one that I would count better than that. The Seattle Patriots Super Bowl was very exciting as well, principally because of that the last play there.
Right.
But it was an exciting game. But that one, man, down 28-3 with eight minutes and change,
8:30 left in the third.
8:30 in the third quarter. Nobody is going to win that game.
Yeah.
And the Patriots came back, and they had 1 4th down there too, right? That they had to make a play, and Amendola caught a short pass to get that first down.
Right.
Wow. There was several times that game could have ended. Brady threw a pass to Edelman.
Yeah.
Edelman didn't run his route quite right. And it went off the hands of the defender, and Edelman came up with it. But there's a little luck in every one of those Super Bowl wins. And the championship seasons, there's always a little bit of luck, and the Patriots had it.
Well, normally it's against the Patriots. Mario Manningham, great play. David Tyree in that Super Bowl. Julio Jones made a phenomenal sideline catch. And I believe it was, I forget if it was Blunt or if it was Hightower. They said, every Super Bowl this happens to us. And I'm pretty sure it was LeGarrette Blunt. And that's the case. You could go to a bunch of Super Bowls and the Super Bowl losses and say, that play killed us.
Yeah.
Mario Manningham, David Tyree, the Philly special.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think the Julio Jones catch, all they had to do was run the ball 3 times into the middle of the line and kick a field goal, and they would have won the game.
And there was the incomplete
and
pass.
They
there was the sack,
they started throwing the ball, and there was
right.
Kyle Shanahan in there calling those plays. So very interesting. And the holding penalty, that was an amazing game. I'll never forget that game. In fact, after we're done here, I'm going up there and watch it again.
Well, I don't believe I've ever told this story, but I did this during that Super Bowl. We were watching it together. After the pick 6, I stopped watching it. I completely stopped watching it. The next time I saw the game was when they were reviewing whether or not Edelman's catch was actually a catch. So that so I forget when the pick 6 was. Was it the second quarter? I forget when it was. Whatever that pick 6 was, up until Edelman's catch. Obviously I went to go see it again, but I didn't, when it was happening, never saw it.
Yeah.
Didn't know what happened from that point, and I saw it was, I think, 28-20. I'm like, oh, they are still in this. And then finished watching the game out, and then the overtime, overtime.
They had to get the two-pointers.
Yeah.
Right?
Direct snap, which is...
The direct snap is one of their signature plays.
I love the direct snap.
I love the direct.
Was it Kevin Falk? Yeah.
Brady goes like
Kevin
this
Falk did that way back when, and then the outlet pass to Danny Amendola.
Both excellent calls. Josh McDaniel calling those plays. So I was reliving that, watching that. To me, was the highlight of these two episodes. The Deflategate stuff, I felt bad for they fooled with the balls. I think they fooled.
So
with
you
the balls,
you think the Patriots intentionally deflated the football too low? Brady and the equipment staff.
They say
too low.
everybody likes the football a certain way.
Correct.
People manipulate
Peyton
the balls.
Manning did
A
it.
lot of people do it. I don't think Brady and his crew, they thought that was a big deal. They were doing it, and they got caught doing it. And the NFL had set them up, and they were just waiting. The Colts were trying to get one of those balls, and they took it over on the sidelines, and it had some air out of it. I mean, they came up with this gas law.
Yeah, ideal gas law.
The ideal gas law. Maybe give that a little bit of credence, but then Brady wrecked his phone. So they couldn't get that.
Wasn't a good look.
But something,
It
the
wasn't a good
wrecking
look.
the phone, to me, I mean, he probably had all kinds of stuff on there. It was all going to get out in the press. It's all going to be leaked. He didn't want that to happen.
Yeah, no,
I can understand why he'd do that.
The image didn't look great, though.
It didn't look good, but I'm not sure he did it just because there was Deflategate evidence on there. I mean, it's probably stuff to his friends and, foul language maybe, and I don't know. Things he said to his wife on there, and he didn't want to get out into the press, and I can understand that. And then when they asked him, do you have anything more you want to say about Deflategate, he just said no.
I mean, Brady said in the documentary, he thought it was a joke. He was laughing about it. He didn't take it seriously. I will say this, though, and it's unfortunate, but, R.I.P. Chris Mortensen, he was the one who made the statement 11 of the 12 footballs were too under-deflated. What was weird about it was he eventually deleted that tweet. So it's like, okay. And then Peter King, which is, he retired recently, he apologized for confirming that report because it didn't make any sense. And it got here's the thing, it got laughed out of the first court that they were arguing about it over. But Goodell's like, hell no. We're not going to let the Patriots win here. Let's bring it to federal court. And then the federal court said, yeah, they acted in the right way. The NFL can do this. So they reinstated the 4-game suspension.
Yeah.
But
he got to play a whole year. They never mentioned that on the
because it went to the court. The court process
Yeah,
takes
I know.
8,000 years.
They never talked about that he played a whole year under that still being investigated.
Right.
And determined.
But Peter King said that was his biggest mistake, in his journalism career was about the Deflategate.
That he said that he called Brady a cheater.
Well, he confirmed the report. He said that getting it wrong basically because it is stupid. The ideal gas law, it makes perfect sense. When stuff gets, here's the thing. Here's an experiment. Take a basketball, put it outside in the freezing cold.
Yeah.
See if it gets deflated.
It does.
Put it, heat it up. See if it inflates a little bit. It does because that's how it works. In rainy weather, by the way, it's not the receivers could yes, you could catch it better. They ran the crap out of the ball in that game. They had over 130 rushing yards. They just pounded the football. Now, the Colts, Andrew Luck is a great quarterback, and some people are even saying that he's a Hall of Fame candidate this year. Stop it. He played 7 years. Yeah, he was good when he played, but he's not Hall of Fame worthy. The Colts were not at the same level of the Patriots. 2014, when they had a lot of talent.
Not at all.
Running the ball effectively. Brady, 2014 season, trying to get the redemption of the Super Bowl. Gronk, Edelman, Amendola, Malcolm. Not that year. Malcolm Mitchell was 2016, but they had talent on that team. They had a lot of talent. 45-7. I don't think I believe Chuck Pagano was the head coach.
Yeah.
Belichick's on the other side. Who would you rather have, Chuck Pagano and Andrew Luck, or Tom Brady and Bill Belichick with Gronk? I'd rather take that, truthfully, but. Yeah, no, the Deflategate was a complete joke. What I think bothered Brady and people around him the most was Belichick never defended Brady.
No,
he said,
he threw him under the bus.
Ask the quarterback.
Yeah. Well, he was worried they were going to pin something on him. He'd already been through Spygate. He wasn't going to, and maybe maybe he knew nothing about it. Maybe he did know nothing about it. Yeah. Yeah. Brady didn't seem that upset about that. Belichick just said, talk to Tom. And then when Brady came out, he wasn't prepared to talk about it. He was really nervous.
He's not a scientist. He plays quarterback.
Some of the questions they asked him is, would you think what fans would think that They think you're a cheater. How
Right.
is that? Yeah.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I never intentionally tried to cheat.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah. So
What are you gonna do? You're the quarterback. You play quarterback. You like your football slightly deflated. You keep it within the range. Here's the thing: there is a range of inflation deflation. If you're at the lower side of the lower limit, and it's freezing out, so the ball's gonna deflate anyway. This is the
you
science.
think that's what happened with 11 of the 12 balls?
I forget if it was a Harvard or an MIT professor who did this.
The gas law.
Yeah, he said if it's basically it would go lower than the threshold you're allowed within these conditions, and yet, apparently science is too far behind Goodell's ego for it to make any sense to him. So
I think one of the things that kind of debunked that is they took the balls inside at halftime to test the
them.
air, and it was warm in there. So wouldn't the ball come back up?
Well, we're not talking about instantaneous inflation here.
Yeah.
If they're deflated, and if they're deflated, right, and you're playing with them for, let's say it's an AFC Championship game, you got a bunch of commercials. Let's say they're out there for an hour and a half. It's not going to take 10 minutes in a warm room is going to inflate them to over the limit that freezing cold, rainy weather would in an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So also the equipment guy going to the bathroom for 90 seconds.
Yeah.
There's a lot of suspicious things, but scientifically,
Yeah,
Deflategate is a joke.
how about the Garoppolo issue with Kraft? I mean, Kraft, I don't think he thought Belichick was not treating Brady that well, and then Brady and Belichick talked a number of times, and I think that it was Kraft that had told Belichick you got to trade Garoppolo.
Well,
Right.
I'll say this: after Garoppolo got drafted, Brady made it to 4 Super Bowls, won 3 of them. And then after Belichick, and we're about to enter like episodes 9 and 10, are into Belichick trying to trade Brady and then the end of the relationship. So it's the 2017 season where Belichick tried to trade Garoppolo, or tried to trade Brady to the 49ers. Instead, he had to trade Garoppolo. After that time, he made it to 2 Super Bowls and won 1 of them. So now I'm also including when I say 4 Super Bowls, So I would say you win Super Bowls over a guy Belichick likes.
Yeah.
At that time, Brady was 5-time Super Bowl champion. And then 3-time Super Bowl MVP? Because Deion Branch got it. I'm pretty sure, once.
Edelman got it once.
So then, it was 5 times. So they'd be
I think he's a 6 times.
Right,
no,
but-
he's a 5-time Super Bowl MVP. Super Bowl MVP.
Right, but I'm talking. Yeah, that's his entire career. But I'm talking about at that point, 2017 season, he won
At 3.
2016, 14, and then 03, 04, 03, and then 01.
Yeah.
So it was Deion Branch, and then who else won Super Bowl MVP? It was just Brady. The rest of them? No, Edelman was 2018 though. So I'm talking about when they were trading him. I think at that point, 5 Super Bowls, he had 3 of them because he won. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I'm forgetting now. Wow. Regardless, doesn't matter. But still, though, several Super Bowls, most Super Bowls by a quarterback at that point, and Belichick thought, you know what? Let me trade a guy.
I think
Went on to play 6 more
Belichick
seasons.
knew that Brady played the best when he was giving him the hardest time, which is kind of a ironic thing, right? The best player on the team, you treat him the worst, and you get the best result. It's an odd thing. That's what happened.
That is such a depressing mindset.
I know it is. It's terrible.
Well, that's where you get Wes Welker calling, comparing Brady to an abused dog at that point.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting.
I mean,
to hear,
Belichick and Brady seem to be pretty. They seem to be good with each other now.
because it's a media.
I mean, they're going to do
It's
the
the
Brady
media.
thing, and I hope we're going. And
What?
it's going to be in June, right? I think.
I don't know the exact details.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the lines of that.
When
Yeah.
Belichick will probably be there, I would think. Right? He's going to be there because they parted on good terms, supposedly.
Amicably departed. Yeah. No,
So I think that'll
I'm
be
trying to
interesting to see.
It would not surprise me if Belichick's not there. Well, and here's the big thing.
I bet he'll be there.
If he had a head coaching job, he wouldn't be there because they'd be doing training camp and OTAs and all of that.
Yeah. Will they be? I thought they were going to do this in June. or maybe
Right,
it's in
right.
July.
Well, wouldn't that be like the early? So was it mini camp and OTA, something like that? The
I don't
first
know.
set of meetings, because
I don't know.
like training camps in August. So yeah, I think June and all these early months are like the early meetings, OTA, stuff like that. So, episodes 9 and 10 are gonna be great.
And the titles of those are?
I'm not sure. I don't have them in front of me, but it is. It talks about the end. Like this is how it all ends.
Yeah.
We're not gonna get
I'm
an
not
answer.
going to really like
supposedly.
that one too well, I don't think.
We're not gonna get an exact answer, but supposedly you get an idea. After Kraft said about the Malcolm Butler benching, we still will never get an answer. Reportedly, it was about Malcolm Butler, Matt Patricia arguing. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
Apparently, Robert Kraft gives us a tidbit into what he saw and what he heard. So
Okay, well,
I'm
looking forward
hoping
to
for that. I'm hoping for some sort of answer.
To be honest, I was crestfallen when Brady left the Patriots. It really it hurt me. It hurt me when he left the Patriots.
Well, we were on the show. We talked about it.
Yeah, I was happy
believe.
that
No, we
last
weren't. No, we
year
weren't.
when he was there at the first game, he said, "I'll always be a Patriot."
Yeah.
You know, so I felt good about that.
Yeah, too bad. Was it that was at halftime of the first game? They lost.
Yeah. They made a game out of it, though, right? That was Mac Jones' best game
It was
of the
his
season.
best game,
actually.
310 yards, 3 touchdowns. First time he did that in his career. So there we go. Thank you so much for tuning in today's show. We're going to have a good Tuesday. More NFL news. I'll give you a little sneak peek. Rodgers says he could play for 2 to 4 more seasons.
4?
2 to 4 more seasons after coming off an Achilles injury. We'll talk about that. That'll be on Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Tune in right here on YouTube.
My grandpa.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.